Good evening. Thank you for coming out this evening for our Road Impact Fee meeting. My name is John Tukanich, and I am the Innovation and Performance Division Director, of which the county's Impact Fee program is one of our division's responsibility. Also here this evening is Joe Sabater, our Impact Fee Program Manager, and Teresa Francis, our Impact Fee Fiscal Coordinator. Related to this project, we have two other key staff members. We have Patrick Dayan, our Assistant Public Works Director, and we also have Ben Balser, our Assistant Director of Planning Development Services. I want to begin tonight, I guess I should have, sorry, started this on the wrong. I want to begin tonight with providing some background information. The county is not opposed. Let me state that at the outset. The county is not opposed to mobility planning, and more specifically, to the city of Port St. Lucie, adopting mobility plan and fee. When we say that, we invariably get asked, well, then how did we get here? So tonight I'll try to answer that and provide some information along the way. And then our consultant, Negan Camp and Tyndale Oliver, will provide a presentation on the Draft Road Impact Fee Study Update Report. Let me take this opportunity to share that the draft update report is available on the county's website at stlucieco, stlucieco.gov/impact fees, one word. You will also find the proposed schedule that leads to the adoption of the revised road impact fee ordinance and the ability to submit your comments online. So impact fees versus mobility fees, it's really not the primary discussion here, but just briefly, impact fees are obviously related to infrastructure in terms of roadway capacity, and mobility fees, very similarly treated in the statutes. Essentially mobility fees, they look at roads, but they also provide flexibility for alternative modes of transportation in terms of pedestrian ped paths, bikeways, dedicated vehicles for alternative like maybe low-emission vehicles, golf carts, things like that. Impact fees have been around since the mid-1980s, and the county's road impact fee has been in place since 1985 and has been updated periodically to comply with statutory requirements, including but not limited to the dual rational nexus test, which is a legal standard that every community must comply with if it has an impact fee or a mobility fee. It was last updated, our study, in 2017-18, and it was subsequently implemented in 2019. It was adopted and then implemented in 2019. So one of the comments that we've heard loud and clear is that the city of Port St. Lucie believes they have not received their fair share of fees collected by the county from development within the city. Some early documents prepared on behalf of the city of Port St. Lucie suggest the city has not been receiving its fair share. Briefly, I will provide some information that may help our residents and stakeholders. The city and county entered into a road impact fee interlocal agreement in September of 2011, and we've been operating on with that interlocal agreement until October 1st of this past year. It largely was an agreement that provided for where the city would collect the impact fees on behalf of the county, and there were some certain responsibilities between both parties. And then there was also several roads that were listed in the impact or the interlocal agreement, and I have a slide later that I'll touch on that. But the county, or rather the city, did provide notice of its intent to terminate the interlocal agreement on January 25th of 2021. Included in the interlocal agreement was a provision where the city would collect the county's impact fee, and I mentioned that this continued as of October 1st, 2021. But a more important provision was what we commonly refer to as the same fee provision. There was a provision that essentially netted out 100% of the city's road impact fees against collected county road impact fees up to 50%. The amount of the city's road impact fee was not determined by the county. It was determined by the city and its consultants, the study that they prepared, and the county, having calculated the full impact fee amount, provided a credit for the city's impact fee. Essentially, the city's self-determined road impact fee was deducted and retained by the city, and the balance, less administration costs, were remitted to the county. This 50% credit is an important provision, and the city did not maximize its ability to substantially increase its impact fee revenues through this provision. So I mentioned I would share a slide with you, and that highlights one of the concerns that's not getting the fair share. This slide is an excerpt from the city's impact fee white paper that was prepared by a consultant. wherein it details the amount of funds expended on various road projects and highlights 6 roads listed in the interlocal agreement where the county and the city endeavored that they would work together and try to address these roads. What the impact fee white paper fails to present is the plans for future projects, such as Glades Cutoff Road and Midway Road. For Glades Cutoff Road, one of the projects that are listed of the 6, the county estimates $78.1 million in road projects planned, and for Midway, over $88 million planned in projects. And these records were provided to the city in response to its public records request back in December of 2020. Moreover, this next slide is actually an excerpt from one of the presentations. It's actually been presented several times at several city meetings, but and essentially, it goes to the background on this issue, and it's been used to establish the city's need for more control over impact fees generated within the city limits. However, we don't believe this slide, tells the full truth, or the full story rather, when it comes to the use and programming of county road impact fees. The statement at the bottom, you see the blue box, we would submit that it it ignores, it notes that 36% or $16 million of the $44.2 million total projects collected in the 5-year period between 2021 and 21-25 in the capital improvement projects are projects within the city limits. But what has been, and it has been noted that 80% of the county road impact fees are collected within the city. The missing and critical factor here is the recognition of the county's responsibility for the county road network. And yes, directly or directed at those impacts that are a result of growth and development in and from the city of Port St. Lucie. I think a shortcoming on this slide is if you look at the focus on the red, is it only focuses again on the 5-year period. It doesn't look long range. And to that point, I'm going to show you a slide, and this information has been provided. It's actually it's the updated fiscal year 2022 to 2026 capital improvements plan, specifically related to road impact fees and transportation projects. This not only identifies the initial 5-year capital improvement expenses, but the column to the far right, highlighted in like a light pink and red, that identifies the future anticipated needs and costs. So the 5-year CIP costs are related to planning, design, engineering, rights-of-way acquisition activities, but the future anticipated needs column represents the future project costs of the proposed projects in out years. And I think everybody that in any community that has experienced a transportation project know they don't happen overnight. They don't happen in a short, simple 3 to 5 year period, especially some of the projects we're talking about. When you have projects that are $78 or $88 million crossing the turnpike, interchange involved. So this future anticipated needs column, if you look at it, it's a more accurate reflection of and measure of the county's investment and commitment to the county's road system for the region and to the benefit of the city. We do think it's important to note that, again, that this spreadsheet has been provided, to the city since December 18th. Of 2020 in response to the public records request, as well as presented to city staff, on multiple occasions, and at a joint meeting between the City Council and City Commission. Again, that column labeled out year cost or future anticipated cost, that totals $357.5 million. So, I'll move on here. But when we look at the 5 years, this slide depicts the 5-year CIP or capital improvements plan within the city boundaries or within 2 miles of the city limits. The projects, that are identified in red, when you compare these to the 5-year capital improvements plan, the county's committing 96% of its expenditures in or within 2 miles of the city. Interestingly, according to the Transportation Planning Organization Director for St. Lucie County Director, Peter Buchwald, St. Lucie County only has one failing road, and that's Midway Road. And this happens to be one of the county's priority projects and certainly a road of importance to the future of the city of Port St. Lucie and the county. A review of the 5-year CIP or capital improvements program, and as was presented in the previous slide, the county is going to be expending $3.5 million in this fiscal year, and then another $8 million in fiscal year 2025. That's $11.5 million. And then the future anticipated out-year costs are $88.6 million. In discussing the county's investment that benefits the city and the county road network, we think that you cannot disregard a very important issue. The county, issues or will meet with developers, and developers will make improvements to the roadway network, and the county will issue or provide them road impact fee credits. And we believe that's an important component or a consideration here, because the county is literally foregoing the collection of impact fee revenues in exchange for these developer improvements to the road network. And these improvements have and will continue to substantially benefit both the city and the county. Countywide, the county has approved more than $120 million in road impact fee credits, of which more than $119 million benefit the city of Port St. Lucie. And to see this, graphically, I'm just going to highlight one area here. All those roads, and you see the two cities, the Port St. Lucie's in the Tan-Bound area, outlined in the Tand area, and there you have all these roads. These are county impact fee. There we go. I lost the slide up here. County impact fee credit roads completed or partially completed and planned. And you look at the blue and the green being those ones that were completed through impact fee credits, and then you see the blue. That's a substantial network that the county, through issuing road impact fee credits, is investing in the county and the city. And there's also some, if you notice, north of that red box right up in here and over here. So there's a couple other locations where those road improvements have occurred or that are benefiting. Next, I pointed out that in January of 2021, on the 25th, the city noticed the county its intent to terminate the interlocal agreement effective October 1st of 2021. The county has its road impact fee, and the city has had its road impact fee. In adopting the city's mobility plan and replacing its road impact fee with a mobility fee, the city increased its fee at a much higher rate. Repeatedly, it's been presented at public meetings by the city's consultant and others that the county cannot charge its road impact fee. However, the issue of the county charging its road impact fee has been litigated, of which the city was a party to the legal proceedings in 2005, and it was found that the county unquestionably has the right to assess and collect impact fees. The court further found in the final judgment the city's ordinance unenforceable in terms of county road impact fees not being collected in the city. As a reminder, the county's road impact fee has been in place since 1985, and its 2018 update was implemented in 2019. Moreover, it was found to comply with statutory requirements. There was public meetings, there was public hearings, of which during that time, no one from either city or stakeholders presented any comments or concerns regarding the county's study. Under the former road impact fee, the interlocal agreements, I mentioned this earlier, the city could have increased its share of impact fee revenues without, I think it's an important point, without impacting development costs in the city of Port St. Lucie. And I'm going to briefly show you, okay. So this is based on a 2,500 square foot home, and the current impact fee for the county is $6,270. The former impact fee for the city, when they had an road impact fee, was $1,169. Again, I mentioned earlier that we had a provision in the interlocal agreement to provide a credit. They also, the city was able to receive a 4% administration fee for their efforts in terms of collecting that and then remitting that. So essentially, the city was retaining just about $1,420, or just over 22% of the $6,270 collected, and the county was receiving about $77, about $4,800 and about 77%. However, under that road impact fee interlocal agreement, through that same fee provision, the city of Port St. Lucie could have been retaining as much as 238% more in impact fee revenues than it was. Again, the agreement provided that the county would, based on the city's impact fee, provide a credit up to 50%. So the city could have raised its road impact fee to $3,135, and that would have resulted in no cost or impact to the residents or those building homes or developing within the city. So we think that's an important point, the fact that the city could have done that under the existing the agreement that they terminated. And, one of the things at the outset I shared, one of the more frequent questions is, how did we get here, and why is this important? I'd like to begin by stating what we believe is critical to this matter. Who is responsible and accountable for the county roads, and what do those responsibilities entail? According to the Florida statutes, the county is responsible for the county roads regardless if they're outside or inside the city limits. And that responsibility is not limited to maintaining the road. It includes planning, developing, and constructing roads to benefit the county road system and the region. We all recognize, I think everybody will recognize, that growth and development in one community affects the entire county. And regarding this issue, the county road system. In fact, one statistic which clearly demonstrates this is noted in the city's Tischler-Bice impact fee study, wherein 82.5% of city residents are employed outside the city. So 82.5% of the city residents that are employed outside the city. So clearly they're having impact beyond the city's roads. But it extends beyond personal travel. It includes movement of goods and commerce, supporting our businesses and household throughout the county. There was just the announcement of a third, Amazon, facility is going to be locating here. They're going to use city and county roads. The impact extends beyond just the city. So in the city's mobility plan and fee ordinance, according to the ordinance, the city shall no longer collect a road impact fee on behalf of the county. And the city asserts that the mobility plan, more specifically the mobility fee, fully mitigates impacts of development on the county road system. The court previously ruled, as I mentioned, that the county can collect its impact fee without question. The county's impact fee is based, as I mentioned previously, on our adopted 2018 impact fee study. The county is responsible for the county road system, and at no time did the county consent or delegate planning responsibility to the city for the county road system. The city never even consulted or coordinated with the county on including county roads in its mobility fee. So without any authority, the city has unilaterally identified corridor improvements to the county roads amounting to, according to the mobility plan technical report, the basis for their mobility fee, nearly $180 million of improvements, or 23.3% of the total cost of the mobility plan improvements in the report. Phase 1. Again, the county respects the city's authority to adopt a mobility plan because it's a home rule issue. They have the right to do what they believe is in the best interest of their city. And the county respects that. But it has fundamental concerns. There's several, but the one I'm going to focus on, but it has fundamental concerns of the city unilaterally preempting or usurping the counties from carrying out its statutory responsibilities with regards to county roads. As the county respects the city's decision for mobility planning for roads under its jurisdiction, the city should respect the county's jurisdiction of the county roads. And why is this important? Well, the county does have concerns regarding the city's mobility plan, and I'm only going to highlight one that more so directly affects the county, and that's costs. County staff and our consultants have been unable to replicate the costs for identified improvements to the county roads. We find the costs are significantly underestimated, anywhere between 40 to 200%. This is very troubling, especially considering the city's mobility plan and ordinance suggests or states that the plan and the mobility fee will be fully mitigating for the impacts to county roads. First, the city in the mobility plan technical report acknowledges it does not know the full costs, and they are basing those corridor improvements on planning level cost estimates. It won't be until phase 2 of the mobility plan when the city knows the full costs of the mobility plan. And that was estimated to take 1 year. And it's been probably, I think they adopted that in late September. So hopefully by September this year, they'll have that identified. And essentially, they say they're going to meet with their stakeholders, the public, and they're going to identify the specific improvements that the public wants to see or they feel are necessary, for these corridors and for these intersections. So, and it says actually in the letter that, that this is going to likely require that the mobility in phase 2, the mobility plan is going to be updated, and that includes the mobility fee. So you're likely to, the more likely the city may be increasing the mobility fee after they do phase 2 of the update. For illustrative purposes, let's look at Midway Road as an example. The city's mobility plan estimates the cost to widen the road from 2 to 4 lanes between Selvitz Road west to East Torino Parkway, which is 1.32 miles approximately, to be just over $23.1 million. County staff estimates to widen Midway Road, same road, but from Selvitz west to Jenkins, which is roughly, it's just under 1 mile, at roughly $21 million. So the city's consultant is estimating that it's going to take just over $23 million to go 1.32 miles, and with that, the additional third of a mile includes crossing the Florida Turnpike. County engineers estimate $21 million for a segment that is a third of a mile less, so the project is significantly underestimated in cost. And again, it's a county road, so that affects the county. If the project is not, if you're saying that you're going to be collecting a fee and you're fully mitigating the impacts of that, and you're not collecting the appropriate amount of the appropriate fee, the county is the one that has the responsibility for that roadway. Another road, Glades Cutoff, the mobility plan identifies, the city's mobility plan identifies a 2-mile segment, Tradition Parkway extension to Rangeline, at a cost of $9.6 million. County engineering staff, excluding cost escalation factors related to the timing of the project, project it will cost more than $10 million for 1 mile. But they are suggesting that their 2-mile segment is going to be a cost of $9.6 million. That's a significant underestimation of the costs. So the county is currently updating its road impact fee largely due to legislative changes that have occurred since the last update, as I mentioned, and it was implemented in 2019, but the data was collected over a period between 2017 and revised in 2018. The City of Port St. Lucie has adopted a mobility plan and fee, and based on this direction, as well as concerns raised by the city, the county, in its impact fee study, the commission directed some items we looked at. Well, one is we are excluding city roads for the purpose of calculating our impact fee. 2, we are creating multiple mainland benefit districts versus the existing single mainland district. With the exclusion of city roads, and only focus on the county and regional road network, the calculated county road impact fee for development in Port St. Lucie will decrease. So with the county excluding the city roads, the county road impact fee, the city should exclude the county roads from its mobility plan, and that should also result in a decrease in the mobility fee, as their plan, the city's mobility plan, more than 23% of it, or approximately $180 million, is based on county roads. So what has the county commission done, in response to this? We recognize that, when we met with the city, that it wouldn't be before December before we got our impact fee study report update. We received that, but what they did do is they adopted several resolutions. One, establishing that, directing the staff and our consultant to evaluate the impact fee benefit zones, of which they've done. Escrowing county road and park impact fees collected within the established benefit zone, and then until the new impact fee ordinance is adopted and implemented, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute, as well as refunding road and park impact fees collected during the interim period to the extent there is a reduction between the collected amount and the amount determined in the new impact fee ordinance. The second thing the county did was to adopt a resolution providing a 25% discount, if you will, which was roughly the same amount. If you recall, it was about 23% when we looked at a 2,500 square foot home. The same amount that was from the road impact fees that we were giving a credit. And they adopted this discount, and it was also until the county's impact fee is completed, impact fee update is completed, and any new impact fee ordinance adopted and implemented. However, following a meeting with the Treasure Coast Builders Association and several meetings with developers and builders, after the first week of sending out impact fee statements and the notices, the county suspended sending the notices and, officially, collecting those fees, the impact fees. We suspended it. And the county has continued to not resume the alternative collection for county road impact fees. We've made the decision to wait until after we have the impact fee study updated, adopted, and implemented, to then go out and, as warranted, and meet with those and begin that process. And what that does, obviously, a lot of the concerns that were communicated to us, one, it's going to eliminate the confusion and the burdens that the development community expressed. One of the biggest ones was specifically for some of our smaller builders was cash flow issues, and then how it could impact if they were paying, they did not plan, it was unplanned for them to pay, the exorbitant increase. I mean, for that home went from, in the city of Port St. Lucie, the road impact fee was $1,169, and that went all the way to about $4,082. And you take that combined with the county's impact fee, that's a substantial increase in impact, to the development community, and it was affecting their operating income. So we responded, and we have not, resumed the alternative collection mechanism that's established in the county code, and we will do so after we get the study finalized. We do have a draft study, so our consultant will be presenting the draft findings of the update to the county's road impact fee study. We're here this evening, not just here, but also online, for you to solicit your comments from stakeholders. Provide us your feedback. The draft report is out there online, as I mentioned at the outset of this presentation. The county has received comments from the St. Lucie Transportation Planning Organization and the City of Port St. Lucie's consultant. We provided the study once we got it, within a week I think it was. We provided it to our municipal partners and other stakeholders so they could review it and make any comments. So any comments provided by the public or our stakeholders will be evaluated, by our consultants and the county, and as appropriate, we'll address those in the final version of the county's road impact fee study. I mentioned, and I think this is important, but from the outset of this process, the goal has been and will continue to be for the county to ensure that the information and the data that the Board of County Commissioners has is up to date and correct for when they make their decision on the updated road impact fee. And toward that end, the county has engaged a third-party firm to review and validate the methodology and analyze the travel demands utilizing the recently released version of the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Model, version 5, which was released not too long ago, while at the same time, our prime consultant is also utilizing the new planning model to re-review the travel demand with that model. Lastly, again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Before I invite Negan to come up here and share her presentation and provide you an update. The staff and consultants going to be available after the presentation to answer your questions and document any concerns you have. We have several stations here. For those online that will be watching this, you can click the form and you can provide us your comments online. You can also email us. But I mentioned the draft report, impact fee study is available on the county's webpage. Again, that's www.stluciecode.gov/impact fees. Again, we have hard copies available at the front desk and also online. I want to thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Negan Camp with Tyndale Oliver to give their update on the impact fee study, the draft report.
Good evening. I'm Negan Camp with Tyndale Oliver. The presentation has a little bit of background and then gets into the technical analysis and impact fee benefit zones and then the next steps. So impact fees by definition are a one-time capital charge to new development. They cover the cost of new capital facilities and they help implement capital improvement plans. Their main purpose is to maintain the level of service. They calculate the cost of growth, and they are most needed when there's high growth and limited alternative funding. So legal requirements for impact fees in Florida have been really governed by case law for the longest time. And then in 2006, we had the Impact Fee Act, and which was revised over time after that. And some of the key requirements of that act is that the studies and the impact fee rates be based on most recent and localized data. There's a minimum of 90-day notice requirement for any fee increases. There's some reporting requirements that are added. If there's any challenge, the government has the burden of proof, and several other items. Last year, House Bill 337 passed, and that provided a limit on fee increases. So basically, fees cannot be increased more than 50% without showing extraordinary circumstances. And that 50% increase has to be done over 4 installments. So that basically limits to 12.5% per year or installment. And then the fees cannot be increased more than once every 4 years. The exception requires that there will be extraordinary circumstances that are discussed in public workshops, 2 public workshops, and the increase be approved by 2/3 of the governing body. So in terms of the technical analysis, the study is using what we call a consumption-based methodology, which is very common in Florida. It charges new growth for the value of the infrastructure it's consuming. And it's really by its nature, it cannot generate sufficient revenues to correct existing deficiencies. So that's one of the legal requirements. The study establishes the maximum technically calculated rates, but then the Board of County Commission has the option to adopt them at a reduced rate. Maybe. Oops, sorry. So the impact fee formula starts with looking at the cost of building a 1-lane mile. So it's about $5.5 million. So if we have a 1 mile of 2-lane roadway, that costs about $11 million. That roadway carries a capacity of 9,600. So there we go. So the cost per vehicle miles of capacity is $570. That basically says every time a new car is added to the roadway, it's costing $570 of transportation infrastructure, sort of a unit cost. That gets multiplied by vehicle miles of daily travel generated by each land use. So that's, in the case of a single-family home, it's 18 vehicle miles of daily travel. So that 18 multiplied by 570 gives us the total impact cost of about $10,000. From that, we subtract any non-impact fee revenues that will be generated by future development for the same infrastructure so that we are not charging twice. So that gives us a credit of $1,500, and then the net fee is $8,700. So there are several components of the fee. One is the demand component, which basically looks at number of trips generated, how long those trips are, and how much of them are generated because of that land use. They are new trips. And the data sources that are used are the National Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation book, which is very commonly used. That's supplemented by trip characteristic studies conducted in Florida, which measures all 3 variables, and it provides more localized data. And then that's also validated against the regional planning model. The study is using version 4.1. We are updating that to version 5, which came out after our draft report was issued. So that's the one process that John mentioned we are going through right now. When we look at the cost component, we review any historical local projects. We look at the estimates that are in the capital improvement plan and long-range transportation plan, and then we supplement that data from other Florida jurisdictions. Oops, it's going to. There we. Oh, I'm sorry. This. No. So then, in terms of the cost component, we reviewed several projects, but then the most recent 2 projects on the county roads, the construction cost per lane mile was about $2.8 million per lane mile. And that was very consistent with what we see in the other jurisdictions. So that's the figure we used. When we looked at CIP, estimates were higher, but because the most recent construction provided us this cost and it was supported by a larger sample, we ended up using $2.8 million. This chart is showing a cost comparison. So the blue line here is the FDOT long-range estimates. They tend to be when we look at actual projects, they tend to be on the lower end. District 7 long-range estimates tend to be more robust, and that's the orange line. And then the dashed line just shows the individual project costs from different counties. So you can kind of see that in the last study, we were using 2.2 million per lane mile for county roads, and this one we estimated at 2.8. So that's one of the reasons for the fee increase. There. On the state roads, we go through the same process. Again, look at any construction in St. Lucie County. The most recent were about 4.7 million. When we look at projects throughout Florida, it was more 4.1 million. It was a bigger sample, so we ended up using the 4.1 to be on the conservative side. And here again, you can see the historically, in the previous study, we used 3.1 million, and this time it went up to 4.1. So basically, some of the changes from the last study, when we look at it, the cost component increased about 45%, and we're going to show you a trend that kind of helps explain that too. Credit available funding from other sources decreased, but when the credit decreases, the fee increases. So then overall rate increase is about 70% just due to cost and credit. And then any other changes that we see in the fee schedule are due to changes to the demand component, the more data about trip generations and so on. And this is again showing the cost trends. And you can see we started the last study in 2016, so we were looking at data from 2013, 12 on. And then now we are looking, and since then the cost increased, so that that's affecting the estimates this time around. So overall, with all the other components, the right-of-way cost, design, and construction engineering inspections, we end up at about 5.5 million, which goes into the equation. On the credit side, again, our goal is to make sure that we are not double charging. So for any non-impact fee funding that goes to new capacity, we want to recognize the credit. And it's the biggest portion of that is the state funding. Currently, most of the county funding is being used for operations maintenance, so the impact fees going forward are the key funding for new capacity projects on the county side. So one question we get is that transportation has a dedicated revenue source, such as the fuel taxes. So why there's such a need for additional revenues. Fuel taxes, as you know, are on a per gallon basis. State tax are indexed, but local pennies are not. So that's turning fuel taxes into a very inefficient revenue source. So when we look at it over time, a penny in mid-90s is worth only half of its value in terms of local fuel taxes. So the fuel tax is losing ground in terms of ability to generate sufficient revenues. At the same time, transportation costs are increasing, so that gap is growing. So in most communities, fuel taxes are just enough to barely keep up with resurfacing and really not sufficient for additional capacity. So overall, there's 23 million a year going from other revenue sources, and you can see 90+% of it is from state revenues. Okay, so then this is basically shows you the fee schedule for several example land uses. So current fee in mainland is about $5,100 for a single family home. That would increase to $8,600, and then we have some examples, office, industrial, and those are on per 1,000 square foot basis. Okay. And then this is showing a comparison to other jurisdictions. And in this chart, we show the study date, so you can have a sense for how old the data is, and then also the adoption percentage. That's, again, is a policy decision. So for a single-family home, the adopted fees are ranging anywhere from $2,800 to about $10,000. We also wanted to provide what their recent study shows. So when we look at the actual calculated rates, they are ranging from anywhere from more like $5,500 to $10,000. It's more, as you can see, some of them are increasing to $8,800 and so on. So we then looked at the portion of the travel that's being handled by city roads in Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce, and what the county can charge. So this analysis excluded all city roads, travel on all city roads. And again, this is being updated as well with the new model, new version of the model. So currently, what we found that about 56% of the travel in Port St. Lucie, the travel that starts or ends in the city of Port St. Lucie is handled by the city roads. So the remaining portion is about 44%. And in Fort Pierce is more about 4% is being handled by city roads. So when we take that 44%, we apply that to the total cost. So you can see unincorporated total cost, it starts about $10,000, 44% of it would be charged in Port St. Lucie. But then the credit is, there's no city credit, so the entire credit is still carried forward. So in effect, the fee ends up being about more like 34% of the total calculated fee. Again, this chart is showing the fees in mainland and unincorporated county and Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce. You can kind of see it's in Port St. Lucie County would collect about $2,900 for a single family home. And historically, past 5 years, the road impact fees generated about almost $8 million per year. If that trend continues with the decrease in the fee in Port St. Lucie, it's likely that revenues will go down. If the more recent activity continues and the building permits increase, it could be higher, but it's probably more like 6 to 8 million is a realistic range. In terms of the benefit district, currently there is one zone in mainland and then the additional zones in the islands. And the proposed changes is really splitting the mainland into 3 zones and then combining the islands into 2 additional zones. In terms of next steps, we are here to answer any questions. And then there's another public stakeholder meeting on February 9th. Then we will move to a special informal BOCC meeting late February, and then the Planning Zoning Commission meetings, and then the public hearings. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
So this concludes our formal presentations, and if you have questions, you can visit with staff. In terms of asking questions, we do have some of the boards up here related to the map, the impact fee, benefit districts. We have the projects that are included in the plan. We have a map back there with those projects, and and then we also have the impact fee credits back there if you have questions related to that. I would like to say, for those viewing this meeting, please take an opportunity to complete and submit, the online comment form. And then we also, again, as Negan mentioned, next week, February 9th at 6 p.m., we'll hold a virtual meeting. The link will be provided on our website to where you can access that. So with that, I want to thank you, and this concludes the meeting, other than the breakouts, at the respective stations. Thank you so much.